Tuti ila wama uwala umuwezamu wanaona sema.
Hey, there you are, man.
Paul, how's it going?
Yeah, good. I can hear you loud and clear. How are you doing?
Perfect.
You
okay? Yeah, it's a little rainy, gloomy. It's pretty much this time of year in New York.
Hey, it's pretty standard. I mean, it could be worse. You could be over here. It's cold. It's dark. You know, it's damp. It's dank. It's like, you know, for about 3 or 4 months of the year, we're living in Gollum's cave over here. You know.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Hopefully, honestly, it's this time of year when you actually want snow to start coming around because it's cold, but it's not Christmas-like. So it's like, all right, give us a little snow. Let us get a little taste of it. Let us feel like it's Christmas. And then basically December 26th, you're like, okay, I'm ready for spring now.
I mean, with snow as well, there's so many activities you can do.
Yeah.
Snowball fights, sledding, skiing, snowmen, making forts. You know,
how much snow do you guys get over there?
It depends where you live. So where I used to live, up in the northwest, I lived on the coast, in like Blackpool. Very little snow, or like sort of once every 5 years you'd get major snow. That'd be it, or like tiny bits. Around here, it comes hard. Like we're down about an hour, a couple of hours outside of London, just north of London, and it comes really hard, really deep. But I only live 500 steps away from my office where I work, so so I have no excuse. No excuse.
Yeah, you can't. No calling in because of weather, right?
No,
right.
There's no such thing as a snow day for me.
Well, I think as more and more people have gone to this remote working lifestyle, I mean, that definitely is a negative because that was always kind of exciting, you know, like snow days in school, snow days in the adult world were a real thing too, depending on where you live. Like that was always fun.
And especially if you're reliant on public transport or, you know, anything like that, you know, and it's dangerous.
You get to work today.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's dangerous driving your car in the snow as well. You got to be super careful.
It's horrible, and a lot of times we get the lake effect coming off Lake Ontario, Lake Erie, and man, we sometimes get pounded. I mean, my sister lives in Oswego, which is right near the Lake Ontario, and there's sometimes she gets 2-3 feet overnight. Yeah, it's bad. Wow. It's bad. But she's buried. She's like, all right, I'm stuck in here for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but your places are so much bigger over there, aren't they? I mean, like compared to here, we have relatively small houses and small land, but over there, you guys, you've got more room to spread out. Is that right?
Yeah. So my brother-in-law, he's actually a hunter. He's a real big outdoors sports person. So hunter, fisherman, and they have, I forget, like 15, 20 acres. It's not all, a lot of it's woods. So he doesn't need to take care of it and tend to it and mow it and landscape it. But they have a ton of land. Yeah.
So what kind of things does he hunt?
Deer, turkey. I'm not big into hunting, so I don't know how many other animals does a normal person hunt. Well, I know he's real big into
if it bleeds, we can kill it.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, you know, there's loads of different things that you can hunt, but so have you've never been, or you're not into it? No. Okay.
No, I've never been.
But speaking of the woods, the thing that you know where I'm going, right?
Yeah, it's a good segue.
That, you know, we arranged to do this a while ago, didn't we? And then we both got super busy, and we just, I don't know what happened. Like life just pulls you apart.
Yeah.
And then you made this amazing post on LinkedIn, and I got completely sucked in, and I was like, oh, this is phenomenal. And you know, I thought, right, this is it. I need to see Thomas. Like, I need to get him on the podcast. Now is the right time. We need to talk about it. So speaking about the woods and hunting or being hunted, the Blair Witch Project, man,
Blair Witch Project.
Tell me about marketing and the Blair Witch Project.
So believe it or not, the post itself that I put out is actually a recycled post that I've done in the past, like a much deeper, longer, full-blown article. On the greatest marketing campaign of all time is what I had titled it. And it dates back actually quite a while. I think I put it out, I can't even remember the year I put it out. It must have been 1999 to 2021 is how many years? 16, was it? 16 years ago?
Yeah. Well, no, 1999 to 2021 is like
22 years ago. Okay, so I think when I put it out, it must have been 16 because I went back to read the article. So it must have been 5 or 6 years ago. And yeah, I did a lot of research into finding out like what they actually did to promote and market the movie. And I don't know how old you were at the time, but I was 1999. I was 9, 10, 11. I was 12. So my parents were pretty strict. I wasn't allowed to go see it, but I certainly remember the trailer, people talking about it, and there just being this genuine confusion and chaos around. Is this real or also, is this a movie?
Also genuine concern as well. I was I would have been 18 in 99 when that came out. Okay. And that was the year of the Blair Witch Project and the Matrix, and things were changing, and then nobody really knows what's real. We're starting down that path. And I was young enough and naive enough to think, holy shit, like this is the real deal. Like those people definitely died.
They did it so intentionally and deliberately when I actually began the research. Like, you just thought it was kind of like a cool concept as a normal consumer. Like, this is a cool concept. They obviously like played into the theme of the movie to help promote it, but this was really, really well planned out, and everything was carried out so intentionally and strategically, and to the point where that is why it's up there as one of the most successful films of all time, most profitable films. I should say successful because you got major blockbusters, but one of the most profitable films of all time. And it was really because of what they did to help promote this. And what makes it even more fascinating is that they took advantage of a brand new medium, which was the internet. Like, and to think that today, thinking about the campaigns that are out and available, I work in marketing. Most of the clients that we deal with, it's totally internet-based marketing, digital marketing. They've abandoned completely traditional methods. And to think that it was so new that they were probably one of the first major campaigns to really embrace internet marketing. And it was before most people understood internet marketing, and that makes it so much more cool.
And would you call it, to me, it seems like one of the first instances of viral marketing as well.
From the research that I did, it was what some marketing experts considered as the first successful viral campaign. Yes, and that they use that word intentionally in kind of the write-ups and the research and the discussions around it, because it really did go viral before people even understood what that concept meant.
Yeah,
that's what also adds to the kind of the allure to it.
Because at that time as well, anybody who is, I don't know, born after the year 2000 or 2005 probably won't understand the fear and the trauma of Y2K and like running up into that era of time. There was genuine worldwide fear that when Y2K hit and the clocks on the computers weren't programmed right, that everything was going to end. And this is the kind of time we're talking about. Do you remember?
It was so easy. In a sense, you think back, you're like, wow, it was so easy to manipulate people then. But then you look at what goes on in the internet today, and you're like, it still is pretty easy to manipulate people.
Only on a much, much wider scale now. Like,
there's so many options of where you can find information, what you can read. But back then, there was such limited options of where you could find it, which is why we can go into like the tactics that they used in a second. But the fact that they were able to really leverage AOL chat rooms, like that was where everybody was. I mean, so many, that was like the Facebook of today, where if you were able to get a lot of exposure inside of AOL chat rooms, I mean, you were able to penetrate such a large amount of the audience.
And back then it was all dial up as well, because I remember AOL was AOL, they would every now and then, you'd be like, oh, the postman's here. What's this? And it's an AOL disc, a CD has like dropped through, and you're like, oh, cool. Oh, free trial. Yeah, let's try that. And then you get the like you try and log on, and that's where all the action was.
I took my kids to see the movie Ron's Gone Wrong a couple weeks ago. Have you heard about it?
No, I haven't heard about that one.
It's an animated movie. There's some big name voice actors in it, but I think it's still in some theaters. It did semi well, but the concept is all the kids have this robot, which is basically like your AI best friend, and everybody has this virtual best friend. And this one kid, he's poor, his family can't afford to get him one, so his dad ends up finding one in a back alley. It's broken, so he pays like cheaper money for it, and it's just like going haywire. It still becomes his best friend, but it's just like all total. It's all messed up and it doesn't work properly. But during one of like the scenes when he's firing him up, it starts making the old dial-up AOL noise to connect to the internet, and I just burst out laughing. Like the only way you would get that joke is if you were around during that time and you like were suffered through somebody picking up the phone.
They put that there for you and all the parents.
Exactly.
Like that wasn't
exactly. My kids, yeah, they're like completely over the head, but it was like such a nice subtle like homage to the good old days.
The way you were describing that film, it sounded like perhaps a child's version of Child's Play. Have you seen the recent remake?
No, I haven't.
Exactly the same start, like the exact same script. Yeah, pretty much. Except
the horror movie, the remake for the horror movie Child's Play.
Yeah,
and they take advantage of like a machine going wrong.
Yeah. So what happens is in this particular version, in some Asian country, it could be China or South Korea or something like that, there is a chap working in a factory building these dolls. And they're more high tech than the ones in the 80s. So they can connect to Wi-Fi, they can connect to the internet, they can download things, they can upload things. And this guy is having a hard time from his boss. So he adds an extra piece of software, like a little virus or something inside, and he just basically types like, kill all humans or something inside it. And then he packs it and sends it off, and it ends up in America. And then this woman buys it, kid opens it, becomes the best friend for like 10 minutes max until all the adults turn away. And then he starts taking people out left, right, and center. But he's harder to kill, harder to track, because he can like upload and download his consciousness to whatever he wants. So it's
this movie was the tamer, kid-friendly version of the remake of Child's Play. It was pretty good. I was laughing my head off. Good.
So how long have you been in marketing for now? Your recent job is you're like 9 years in this role now, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been in marketing ever since graduated from college, undergrad, which was 2009. So 12 years I've been in marketing. I worked at a nonprofit in the marketing office, worked at Olive Oil Corporation. It's pretty large. They were based out of Portugal. Then did a small stint at another agency, much more heavy on the public relations side. And then I've been at SiteSeeker now for about 9 years, and have managed a lot of accounts, have done a lot of different things, and I'm moving into a sales role now. So I'm more forward facing with on LinkedIn, speaking, writing, meeting with people, and kind of building marketing programs and bringing them on as clients.
And what attracted you to marketing in the first place? Because you said you did it straight out of college. So was your degree marketing focused?
The degree was public relations, and I always enjoyed writing, but I enjoyed writing as I got older into high school. Yeah. And I thought that I wanted to take advantage of writing and leveraging my creativity, but I knew that there wasn't really any money in journalism, and a lot of the hours are not very good in media. So I kind of took what I was interested in and thought, where can I have a more secure career, more of a 9-to-5 career? And that's kind of where I ended up finding myself. And on the marketing side of kind of the whole marketing communication spectrum definitely is appealing to me because of like the creative side of that. I don't really love the media still, but it's kind of a necessary evil.
So do you find that satisfying? Like, what kind of when you say it touched your like creative side, or enabled you to sort of feed that side, how does it work when you're in marketing and you're coming up with a campaign? Could you talk us through like the sort of the basic process of how you start a campaign?
Yeah. So if we want to use the Blair Witch Project as an example, it all begins with kind of a strategic plan and mapping out based on what it is that you're looking to accomplish. And in the case of the Blair Witch, I'm sure the marketing team sat down and said, we have a certain amount of film grossings that we want to achieve opening weekend over time. And they clearly had metrics that they were looking to achieve on the digital end, because they were so proud of how many hits they got to the website. And that was the clear focus of the campaign, with trying to drive people to that website, which was maybe even one of the very first websites that somebody had visited as a consumer in 1999, right? So establishing what it is that you're looking to accomplish by the end of the campaign is really important. And then working backwards from there and deciding what work you're going to deploy in order to help achieve that. And that's where your messaging comes into play, what you're going to say, what you're going to try and convince your audience of, what actions you want your audience to take. And then from there, the creative, what actually are people going to see, touch, feel, view, listen to. And that's where kind of how you build all the necessary components of what that campaign is.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So that's like, it's very similar to, what we teach at college. You always have your aim, objective first, and work backwards from there. Yeah, very cool. So if the Blair Witch Project is one of the most successful marketing campaigns ever, what are some of the worst that you know of? Are there any famous, like, horrible ones?
I don't have any other worst. I don't have any off the top of my head that are really, really bad, because they don't usually get a ton of exposure. You're not going to see them if they're really bad.
Yeah.
How many are actually flopping, where their audience is not seeing it or is not engaging with it? They're not purchasing it. Millions. I mean, most of them are going to be flops if they don't have the right budget, they don't have the right people putting it out, they're not using the right distribution channels, if the creative's poor, if the commercials are poor, if the ads are poor. I mean, there's a million things that can go wrong with a campaign. The stars have to align for something to really go viral intentionally. Obviously, you have these like random funny things that go viral on a daily basis, but those aren't marketing companies, those aren't advertising folks setting out to go viral. That's just funny videos that happen to get millions of views.
Or like a funny meme like Pepe the Frog or something like that.
Right. But that's very different than a campaign like Dove Real Beauty is also in the discussion for one of the greatest campaigns ever. Dove did that probably 8 years ago, if I had to guess.
With all the ladies who were like different skin shades and different sizes, and they're all together, they're like in their underwear, that sort of thing. Is that the one?
They probably had some legs to it. That may have been one of the ads that came out after, but the one that was like the central focus of the campaign was they hired a forensic sketch artist to come in, right? They can bring something to life with just like somebody describing it in words, right?
Yeah.
And they invited people, mostly women, but there were some guys too, into the room. The sketch artist did not see them, could not see them, and they asked them to describe themselves. And the sketch artist would draw it. Then another person who they met in the waiting room, the other person would come in and describe the person that they met.
Okay.
They then put the sketches together, and they wanted to show that the more beautiful picture was what somebody else described rather than what you described of yourself. You were way more critical of yourself rather than the stranger who just met you 5 minutes ago. Yeah. And they showed all these pictures side by side. It was filmed perfectly with the build up to the story and then the side by side comparisons, and then the emotions of the people looking at themselves and just like crying as they realize like how critical they are of themselves. It was carried out so flawlessly. And then there was obviously a website. There was a shortened version that they ran on TV. That was the long version that was internet only. It was like 6 minutes long. The shortened version was 60 seconds long. So it had a lot of legs to it to actually be a true campaign. But the central piece was that long form video. That's definitely in the runnings for one of the greatest campaigns of all time too.
Right. Yeah, I haven't actually seen that one, but now that you mention it, I'm definitely going to check it out.
Definitely check that out.
One. Yeah, that's really cool.
Coca Cola is also in the runnings too, with the name a bottle, where you could give your friend share a Coke, right?
Yeah.
And they took advantage of hashtags when hashtags were really starting to pick up steam. and they leveraged all different social media channels, the ability to customize the bottle with people's names, with friend, teacher, dad. They had all variations of these bottles. That's also in the running too. That was a really, really effective campaign.
Yeah, that is really smart. And obviously then you've got you know, kind of, maybe it's not that simple, but Nike's Just Do It. You know, like having what would you say is how do you go about making like a powerful slogan that's going to stick in somebody's mind? Like you have with McDonald's, you've got a da 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 da, you know, that kind of like, as soon as you hear that, you know, it's like Pavlov's dog, you know, ringing the bell. You know, sometimes you can just hear that. And you know, when you do like learning about behaviorism and stuff like that in education, I think, oh man, McDonald's is sneaky. They're training people to salivate every time they hear that. Da, 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 da. So
there's so much psychology that goes into it. I don't know what was put into those efforts that to draw up the slogans, the jingles, some of those things that have stuck around for a long time. But it follows the same type of process as planning for a short-term campaign, which is really deciding what you want to do in the end, what your objectives are, and trying to really come up with an effective message to help, you know, engage the audience, have them react to it, have them become believers of the product. And some of those started out as just a short-term campaign, like it's so easy a caveman can do it. The caveman campaign for Geico lasted 10 years. It was so successful. The Got Milk campaign lasted years because that slogan or that tagline was so successful.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these are they stick with it. If it's working, they stick with it. Trust me, they got big dollars in these budgets.
You know, the thing about some of those slogans like Got Milk, they eventually become like meta themselves, and they'll end up in you know, being referenced in things like Rick and Morty, where Morty's dad's trying to come up with an advertising campaign because he's in marketing, and he's like, hungry for apples? And you know, and he goes into he gets accidentally captured. He's put inside like a simulation, and he's like pitching this idea of hungry for apples. It's just a picture of an apple, hungry for apples.
But yeah, obviously gonna copy the Got Milk campaign.
Yeah, and he's arguing with himself at one point because he accidentally wins a prize inside the simulation for like greatest marketing campaign ever. And he's like, he's talking to himself in the mirror going, oh, well, what if Hungry for Apples is just a rip-off of Got Milk? What about it?
They really do become larger than life when they become uber successful, and they just become like a part of pop culture.
Yeah, I was just going to say part of pop culture. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, is it true that Coca Cola invented the version of Father Christmas or Santa Claus that we all know? Like, did they change his color from green to red? That's what
I've heard that. I've read that.
Yeah.
I don't know how you would actually verify if that's actually 100% accurate, but I have read that. Yes. But what's funny is, so I've been teaching adjunct for about 8 years now at our college, our private college up this way, and I do the social media marketing course, and I've really tried to incorporate some like marketing 101, advertising 101 type of lessons into it, because it's hard to understand and kind of realize what social media is all about without those components of kind of marketing communication, understanding that first. So we do a topic on branding during one of the first few weeks. And I show a bunch of very common logos on the screen or images, celebrities, New York Yankees, M&M, Coca Cola, and I ask them what are the initial very first thoughts that come to mind, very first words that come to mind that for them when they see these logos or these entities, essentially, and that really is what a brand is at the end of the day, is the emotions that are evoked when you experience, when you see, when you feel these logos, these visuals, these companies, right? And whenever people see Coke, they associate it with Christmas, and knowing how powerful that is, because it's something that most people have very, very positive, affiliations with. Christmas. It's something that it's the most favorite day of the year for most people. Especially
if you're, a child in a good situation.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. There's so much positive feelings that come with Christmas, and to have your brand associated with that is just insane to me. They were so clever in deliberately associating themselves with that. And it's not going to happen overnight. They've done that routinely, ad after ad after campaign, year after year after year after year.
And the trucks as well, like sending the trucks out. That's so important. You know, I know friends who get really excited because they even come here. The trucks with all the lights and the picture of Father Christmas, and they're like, holidays are coming. And, yeah, they're getting ready to like take a picture of the truck or a selfie with the truck. Like even that is exciting to them. That's weird, isn't it? To have an advertisement that gets people so excited that it's almost like
exactly.
Yeah, it's almost like what do you call it? Like like the Eiffel Tower, like a tourist attraction. You know, they're really into it and they want to go and take a picture.
Some of these companies pick up like such a loyal cult following, and the advertising, the marketing has a lot to do with that. It might even not just be the product itself. Apple is the perfect example. Are apples really superior to others? Some people would say yes. A lot of people would say no. It's the way that they've defined their brand, and the way that they carry out their ads, and the way that they make you feel through the product, not the product itself, that has made people do that and feel that way.
You know, and that's the genius of Steve Jobs, isn't it? You know, obviously he's no longer with us, but he was the marketing mastermind behind Apple, behind the visual of the devices. When I think it might have been Wozniak was keen to say, well, do you think we should let the customers, customize these, be kind of like a Windows PC, as it were? And Jobs is like, no, man, this has got to be a closed unit. There's magic inside the box. We can't let them see what's going on inside. So then that's when they started to, after he came back, after he was fired, I don't know if you know that, but he was let go from Apple at one point.
That was when he did Toy Story, right? And kind of in the in-between stint, he got involved in
Disney. Got involved with Pixar, started Pixar, and then they were like,
he just started Pixar in his spare time when he had nothing else to do.
Easy. Completed it, like just start Pixar, no problem.
Then came back and started his Apple empire. It's crazy.
It's just insane. Yeah, and then the iMac started coming in, then the iPod.
The initial.
That was it.
iMacs.
Like they saw that the smartphone was, where things were going, and who would have thought that a computer company, would eventually become the biggest mobile phone company in the world, or second biggest, whatever. If you the market is pretty fierce right now, but I think are they the biggest? I think
it depends. It depends where you get the data. If you're looking at US, they have market share. If you're looking worldwide, I'm not sure who has it. Probably Samsung, because
or Huawei, maybe Huawei.
I think Asia has a very different market share breakdown than US, and probably even Europe too.
So as a marketing expert, are market statistics and mathematics and looking at trends and all that sort of stuff, is that something that you dive into as well?
Yeah, we actually do a ton of data analysis here at SiteSeeker. One of the things that one of our claim to fame is one of the things that we say makes us a lot different than other agencies is because we're so obsessed with data. So we have a lot of measurement tools. We're spending much more time on gathering and looking at data, making decisions around the data, than we are in the actual creative work, because we think that there's a lot more value in making your decisions on that data rather than just gut instinct as to what sounds or looks cute and funny and sexy. So I think a lot of other companies are following that trend too. Did you ever see Mad Men? Did you watch Mad Men?
Not yet, no.
Is it on your list?
Yeah, it is on the list. Yeah, I kind of I don't like to watch loads of multiple things at once, so I wait until something's finished and then I'll watch it all in one go. Okay,
so Mad Men's a good show, and there's this one scene. Don Draper is the star of the show, which you'll get to know him. He's a very interesting character, but he's the creative director. Works his way up. He has probably a number of titles over the years. But there's one scene where he is being challenged with a market research expert that comes in to carry out focus groups and carry out research that they're kind of paying to help make some decisions around the data. And Don is like kind of an old school. He believes in the creative, and he believes he can change people's mind with the creative work. And he kind of dismisses the data. And I think that it's really interesting dynamic, because sometimes it has panned out where the creative was so powerful that it's kind of changed public opinion. Apple's one of them. Would data have shown that people wanted or needed a very simple phone that didn't have the ability to customize, that had this, that had that, of how it competed against PCs, it probably wouldn't have, because some people, sometimes something is so innovative that they don't know what they want yet. People don't know what they want yet, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I think Don's angle is that people, the data can't always predict the future, because they might not know what's available to them until we release it, until we tell them what's available to them, until we tell them what they should want.
I was going to say that's what I'm hoping with this podcast. You know. Yeah, my numbers are low right now, but you know, it's just because they haven't realized.
You have to tell people that they want it. Yeah, that they need it. But I think there has to be a balance. There definitely is a very important creative component to marketing, to advertising. But I think that the data is also very just as important, and you need to lean into the data and interpret the data and use that to dictate where you go. So that way you're taking more of a calculated risk than just a risk.
So you said that you deliver some classes, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have we deliver marketing classes as well. Not me personally, but I'm aware of.
Maybe you will someday.
Maybe. What sort of tips or pointers, or do you have any kind of top 3, top 5 hits or tips that you would give to students or people graduating? What would you say to those guys? What to look out for? What to be mindful of?
Yeah, I can't speak to every field, every industry, every class that's out there. But what I usually tell my students in the marketing, communication, public relations fields is writing is absolutely critical. Knowing how to write, writing well, writing clearly, writing in a sophisticated manner that's able to captivate audiences. It's so important, and so few students I've found that are actually very good writers. And when I was in high school, when I was in college, a lot of professors used to say that, like, really embrace your writing, continue to improve it. Like, you have really good writing, Tom. And I didn't really notice it until I started to see that people that can write well are able to separate themselves very, very quickly from those who cannot write well in the marketing field. I know many other fields, I'm sure it's probably different. Engineering, you probably don't have to write very much at all. So writing, being a good writer, definitely hands down number 1 skill or talent that should be honed for someone that's in the field. 2, tapping into your creative side. I think there's a lot of discussions over right brain versus left brain, and if people are born with creativity. I think that
or whether you can learn it as well.
Yes. Yeah. I'm of the mindset that everybody has at least some creativity. I think that some people are able to naturally embrace and tap into their creativity more than others. I think that some people are definitely where creativity is part of their DNA. But I do think that everybody has some form of creativity in them. And I think that in our field, in the marketing field, that you really need to understand how you can tap into your own creativity and try to embrace it. And that creativity can come in the form of coming up with cool taglines. You can come up with writing, if you can write in a creative manner, visuals and photography. Man, there's lots of different ways to really interpret creativity, and you need to find how you can do it and what you're really great at. And then the third thing that I tell students is understanding software, tools, and equipment as it relates to photo and video. It's so huge, and it still is a differentiator for students coming out of college that can be really good at filming, at shooting, at recording podcasts, because so many companies out there are trying to still tap into it and embrace it. And they don't have the in-house people to do it. They don't have the in-house software or equipment to do it. And then you go, to third-party agencies like ourselves, and we're charging $150 an hour for it. I mean, there's still a huge opportunity, a huge niche for students that have those type of skills.
Yeah. That's cool. Very, very, very nice. So, would you class yourself as a New Yorker or no?
It depends on what you call it. A New York Stater? Oh yeah, New York Stater.
Does it depend who's around or not? Because I just wanted to ask you, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No.
No.
No, definitely not.
Tell me.
We have a lot of good pizza joints on the side.
Yeah, tell me about your favorite New York pizza.
So I just sent the meme to my friend yesterday about when Michael from The Office does his trip to New York City and he goes to Sparrow's Pizza and he's like, my favorite New York pizza. And like, if you're from New York, you're like, what? Dude, it's a chain. Like, that's garbage pizza.
Yeah, there was I was watching some cooking show and there's I can't remember this guy, this South Korean American chef, and he went to an authentic, traditional, been there like 30, 40 years, Italian American pizza place, baked on a stone based oven. And then he's like, yeah, your pizza's okay, but I still prefer Domino's. And I was like, what? I'm surprised the Italian American guy didn't,
No, that's offensive. That's offensive.
Yeah, amazing. I couldn't believe that he said that.
I went to so I worked at this olive oil company years ago. Very large company. It was it was an American company that got started here. He grew up his operation significantly over the course of time, and then it got acquired by Sovena, which is one of the largest olive oil companies out of Portugal, and they have multiple locations. So it was kind of a New York-based company, and then it became kind of international. But because of that, we had a incredible market penetration. We were producing the olive oil for Walmart, for Wegmans, for Price Chopper, for Hannaford, like you name a chain in the United States as far as as a grocery store, and their olive oil was coming through our facility.
Wow.
So we went through a number of trade shows, and I went to the Pizza Expo in Las Vegas, and like you already know, like how cool, like every like providers of ingredients, of equipment, of anything that had to do with the pizza industry, they were there. But every booth had tastings.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Every booth. I was just going from table to table.
It smelled amazing.
It was 3 days of me just tasting the greatest pizzas across the country. It was awesome. It was awesome.
How much weight did you put on after that? After those 3 days?
I didn't try. I didn't step on the scale. But the point I was originally trying to make before I went off on a tangent is if you broke down the market share of the top name companies out there, it actually Domino's is number one. They surpassed Pizza Hut a few years ago when they kind of rebranded. That actually was a really good move by them. They had a lot of great marketing work involved in that campaign. So it's like Domino's, Pizza Hut, and Papa John's. But unlike the fast food world where you got like Subway or Starbucks, I think they consider in that space, Starbucks, McDonald's, and Subway. On the pizza side, the majority of the share is actually made up by mom and pop shops. So even though Domino's has top share, it's still only a portion of the grand total because so many are made up by small 1 to 2 unit operations.
That's good though. That's nice to hear because that's where the best pizza comes from. And
exactly. That's where I was going with it. The Domino's, sometimes you get a craving for it, but it certainly can't hold up against the mom and pop shops.
No, definitely not. I've been to Italy quite a few times, and I've got friends over there who they don't live too far away from Milan, so they're up in a place called Padua.
Okay.
And yeah, I've done a whole tour of it was like 2018. Myself and my wife, we went over and we went from Padua to Pisa, up to Lake Garda, then to Venice. Then I think we started off in Rome. Then we went back down to Rome. Then we went to Naples and back.
Are these near each other, or is this like a huge?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like you imagine the boot of Italy. So I started in the middle, then went all the way up to the north, then all the way down from the north to the south, and then back up to the middle.
This is by car or train?
By car.
Oh wow!
And you know how crazy Italy is, right? I got a ticket for going too slow on the motorway, and seriously, and I was not going slow. I never drive slow. Well, I drive within the limit, but I got a ticket for going too slow. That's how. Like I have no idea how.
That's fine. I heard that trains are really like common, prevalent. They go everywhere. You
Yeah,
can navigate everywhere by train. Is that right?
Yeah, it was, the thing with the train over there at that time, it was more expensive to go by train to where we wanted to get to. It was just cheaper to hire a car.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely in Germany and like Germany, France, Poland, Denmark, like all those countries. Train is the way to go.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you don't have many trains out this way to navigate kind of far distances.
But you guys, you love your cars, right?
Yeah, we drive our own cars everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of car have you got?
I got a Volkswagen that I just got a few months ago, and it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get political or anything, but are you? How's the fuel prices? I heard they're not great.
Not good. Not good. And they said the article I just read a few days ago is that it's going up another 45% in the next 6 to 12 months. Yeah, it's bad. That's real bad.
Well, you've had it good for so long.
Don't say it's just time that this was coming. We don't want this. No, we don't want this. We don't want this.
Oh man. So yeah, we've gone over half an hour. We can keep going, or if you want, or we can.
Let's round out a couple of the Blair Witch tactics so we can kind of bring that full circle.
Brilliant.
So Blair Witch, I wrote this article. I just put it out again on LinkedIn. There was lots of good comments on it. And the 5 tactics that I talk about in the post and in the fuller length article were the website itself. And unfortunately, I went to go check it to see if it was still live, and it's now finally down. It was still live even just a couple of years ago.
Wow.
Not only was it still live, it was kept intact the exact same way it was from 1999 up until just the last time I had checked it before, which must have been a couple of years ago. Fascinating.
There's the Internet Archive, so you could probably get an old version. You can have a look at it.
Yeah.
What I'll do for this video, if it's okay with you, I might take your post and put it in the description of this video and a link to the old site so that people can go and check it out.
Yeah. That sounds good. That sounds good.
I'll do that.
So the website was really, really important, and the stat I pulled for that post was there were so few internet users at that time, relatively speaking, of how many people are out there in the world, that something like 8-9% of the entire internet audience was on this website at one point. I mean, that number is incredible to know that a single website saw almost 10% of the entire internet population. That's mind-blowing to me that they were able to successfully get that many people interested in this through relatively inexpensive means too. So you got the website. They ran a trailer, which was, you remember the trailer, the girl, the camera was up the girl's nose, basically, and she was just walking around. So they ran that. It was kind of mysterious. What are they talking about? What is this? It looks like a home video, which hadn't really seen before. And they ran that in low budget markets and low budget in front of smaller communities and smaller audiences instead of major cities and major theaters. So they specifically were trying to create this illusion that, what is this? Is this real? Did I find something that isn't out there, that's not famous, that the average person doesn't know about? They wanted people to think that they came across this crazy little story.
That's exactly what we heard here, that this group of people went out into the wilderness to go and check out this myth about the Blair Witch, and they got lost and they died, and then some hunter or something came across a camcorder with the footage inside, a bag with tapes, brought it back, and it was like, whoa.
And that's the movie we're gonna watch, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it's crazy. So they ran the trailer. They printed flyers from police reports, the headshots of missing. They created missing person report flyers and distributed them grassroots style, all throughout communities and the internet. And you would just come across this image and dude, that's gotta be real. This person's missing. This is a missing report. My favorite is the fact that they manipulated the IMDb records, because IMDb, when you go on it today, you're assuming that it's 100% right, that it's 100% accurate. But it is a wiki, and just like Wikipedia was for a long time, just kind of messed. it didn't take much to override information that was there. So if people went to IMDb to go check it out as if it was a movie, it said the actors were missing and presumed dead. I mean, there's this genius. There's this genius level thinking at the time that people weren't even using these mechanisms to market a product.
So who were the people who did that? Was it like was it just film students who just had all of these brilliant ideas, or was there a professional marketing company behind that?
I don't know who actually did the marketing, but I do know that after Sundance, after it performed well at Sundance, a major studio picked up the rights to it.
Yeah.
So it was Artisan Films or Artisan Entertainment. I imagine that it was probably their marketing team that they had that probably worked on other major studios. They just had to think very differently for this one.
That imagine pulling that off today. That'd be mad, wouldn't it?
It'd be awesome. It'd be awesome if you could. There's so many checks and balances now. It was the Wild Wild West back then.
Has anything come close to the Blair Witch Project as far as marketing goes? Like there was like Rec, that movie REC. That was another supposed found film or something, and there was Cloverfield.
Cloverfield was kind of a similar style in terms of shooting. Marketing, I mean, Marvel, they kill it, but how much is it their name versus the marketing? I don't know. Their marketing budgets are enormous. You can't look anywhere without seeing the latest poster, trailer. I mean, they pour so much money into just YouTube ads when one of these new films comes out. But as far as profitability, Paranormal is actually number one. It ended up beating Blair Witch after it came out because that was so cheap to make. Because it was filmed in a very similar style, very cheap equipment.
It's so successful with all the sequels and all the parodies and stuff that come.
Unbelievable how much money. And that first one shook me. That was scary. They did a good job with those, and they kept costs really low, and it performed so well at the box office that that ended up beating Blair Witch. But Blair Witch is the grandfather, man.
It's the king,
it's the king. People copied Blair Witch. So the trailer, the website, you have the IMDb records. They just, all of these things added together just to kind of like fuel these rumors, and it worked out. It's so cool.
Awesome. Yeah, you can let time go by and you can forget about these things. And obviously a movie like Blair Witch, it sticks in your mind because of what it was, because of the marketing campaign.
Yeah.
And then, when somebody like yourself, you put that post up and you just read it and you think, oh, actually, there's so much more to it than, because I even forgot that it was fake again, when I was, it's in there. Like, I still think that it's real sometimes. That's how good the marketers are. I still think
so good.
Yeah, they definitely died. Yeah, for sure.
It's so well done. It was so creative at the time. It was something that hadn't been done before. It was just pulled off so brilliantly. Like it is awesome. So cool.
So, do you have any final words of wisdom, or anything that you'd like to say before we depart?
The thing that I usually say is, well, I have two things that I usually say. The first thing is I'm really big into music, and I'm really big into telling people, listen to a new song every day. Like, I don't care if you use Spotify and just like the home feed to like find new tracks, like find and listen to a new song every day. Like, always be expanding your knowledge and your appreciation for other artists rather than just listening to your safe playlist. So that's usually a plug I give to people. And then the second is always be creating. Like I love podcasts like this, LinkedIn. Obviously, I'm active on LinkedIn. Like listen to YouTube and Spotify. Create songs, recordings, articles, posts. Like grab a camera, go outside on a Saturday and just take pics. Like just create.
Yeah, there's never been a better time to be a teenager or in your 20s. Like this equipment is not that expensive. Like
you can do so much from just a phone too.
Yeah, phone's perfect, or an iPhone, Samsung, whatever you've got. It doesn't matter how crap it is. It could just be like a $10 phone or whatever. But as long as it's got a camera and you can record, you've got some storage, you can make those rough edits. You know, you can make
Yeah.
something. You can do a stop motion animation. Some of my students are doing that right now. So
Really?
yeah. So yeah, get working on your stop motion, guys. Don't leave it to the last minute. You can't leave that to the last minute. You need to start now. And yeah, regarding listening to a new track every day, I did that with my students earlier. So I put, they kept saying, what is this, like a world tour? Like I put on Mongolian throat singing, the old Russian national anthem. I was going like,
Just bringing it from all different angles.
You know, I pulling out some reggae and some Ted Nugent Stranglehold, and just going all over the place. And they're like, yeah, you have an interesting taste in music, Paul. I was like, oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, no worries. They're like, where are we going now? What's this?
Just take it for a world tour, right?
Yeah, they were like, this sounds Japanese. I was like, no, this is Viking battle music. Like, you're totally way off base. Like, you've no idea.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, you know, Thomas, I'm super, super grateful to you for your time. You know, this has been awesome. You want to come back again in the future?
Yeah, you just let me know. We'll talk about another movie. I'll have to research,
for sure.
You know, a little bit more of the marketing that goes into it, but we should do like another part 2.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much. And to everybody else who's checking this out, like and subscribe. And also don't forget to check out Thomas and his company. I'll put all of his links in the description below.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, buddy.